begin nou, Chris?
It's running.
Okay, you must ask the questions.
Yeah.
Alright, hi guys, what's going on? This is Chris from AMPUTEE and today I have my family with me. So a lot of people on the comment section have been asking what was like for your family and what would their comments be. Just a sense of curiosity over what it must have been like for them when when I lost my leg. So and I thought that we could have a chat about that. And afterwards, you guys can post your comments below, and if there are any unanswered questions, we'd come back and we'll talk some more, and maybe even as a family discuss some of the questions that you post afterwards.
If you're looking for some crazy, I'll tell you everybody's standing in a line for the water slide.
Okay, so the first question I have for you guys, and some of you won't remember this because you weren't born yet, Dan. You were born the year
2003.
the year after, the year before I had my amputation. But and there's one family member who's not here today, the oldest one. So today we have my partner, my wife Helena, my youngest son Daniel, and my one daughter, the middle one. Anine, how old were you when I had the accident? You were 2 years old when I had the accident. And 2 + 4, 6 years old when I had the amputation. Then you were 1 year old when I had the amputation, and we'd been married for 5 years when I had the accident. Okay. And 4 years later I had the amputation. So maybe just briefly for those of you that don't know, I had a paragliding accident in the year 2000. I had a bad leg for 4 years with consistent pain and infection, and finally there was a decision, a collective decision that my wife and I both made that it would be for the best to have the leg amputated.
It had been a long road since the beginning since 2000 when the accident took place. The amount of emotional and physical things that we went through as a couple, you particularly month on month with infections and repeat problems, that it got to a point where we tried together by visiting several different doctors. You'd gone to see specialists, and had several second opinions. It was a choice between an amputation or several more operations, and I distinctly remember your question to the doctor when he gave you the choice, and you said, okay, so after we've done this to the knee and that to the muscle, etc., what then? And then the doctor said, well, then we'll see. And then he said, we could consider the amputation, and that's when the reality of a fresh start really started to make perfect sense and seemed like a very viable decision. So that's I think where the two of us were confronted by the reality of an amputation for the first time, and the rest is, the path that you took.
What is the one thing that you think the family members should know in such a process, or in the time following the decision?
Well, it changes from year to year. So now, if the amputation was in 2004, so we're talking 14 years ago. So we've been through several stages together and as a family. And the painkillers, obviously, there's an aspect of that which affected the reality of the situation, where it almost seemed as though you took it at some stage on the painkillers less seriously than the rest of the family because of the use of painkillers that were being prescribed for this disabled leg that you had, and that there wasn't a long plan for. And then after the amputation, there's several phases that one goes through, and I do think that the biggest thing is patience. Patience with what you're expecting from us and what we're expecting from you. I think communication is key. To ask you what you want instead of simply doing things, obviously with the best intentions, could be incredibly frustrating. It robs a person or you, a disabled person particularly of wanting to do something for themselves, or at least wanting to try to do something for themselves. So from that point of view, communication is key. And as the years go by, obviously things improve. So what was good in year one is not necessarily good in the following years.
I remember I thought other dads with 2 legs looked really weird because I was just used to my dad with one like metal leg. Yeah, so like at school and stuff when I was coming home, I saw people with 2 legs. I'm like, jeez, what a weirdo.
And what do you think your friends thought of the guy with the one leg?
They thought it was like a robot leg or something.
They did.
Yeah, they always used to call it a robot leg.
Okay.
But yeah, they thought it was cool.
So earlier on, they remembered that Daniel had drawn a picture of me at school. And do you want to show them, Dan, the picture? How old were you when you drew this?
Yeah, I was in Little Oak, so it was like pre-primary.
3 or
like,
4.
Yeah.
So this is the picture that he drew, and as you can see here somewhere, there's no leg. There's a missing leg. And it's something that keeps coming up for me as I'm wondering, what do you think people should know about living with somebody who's an amputee? What is the 1 or 2 most important things do you think that people should be aware of?
Having been married to you as an extremely active person who enjoyed outdoors and doing things outdoors, the physical aspect as well as the emotional aspect were big. And the tendency then for the family members to be helpful to the point of almost irritatingly helpful could then have a negative influence as well as causing some frustration. I think ultimately everybody benefits when freedom is being given for some experimental chores or tasks, and besides you make much better coffee than I do anyway. So we're back to that again, where I get coffee in bed, and I must admit that once again with the leg issues, as Chris got better and better legs, we could do that much more together, and I could also ask Chris to do things for me which in early amputation I couldn't. So just to quickly pop up the stairs and fetch a key or this or that, he's now fully able to do because it's been time and it's a process and it's a change. So it's constantly changing and evolving as things improve with both technology and with acceptance of what we can and can't do as a family.
I think for us being so little, in a way, kind of helped, because I mean, when you're that little, you don't have necessarily enough life experience to know maybe the value of a limb or whatever. So I think when it happened, we were kind of largely, I don't want to say oblivious, but like at times we obviously wouldn't know how hard it was for you. I think maybe it was almost more helpful just to have, I mean, little kids running around who were somewhat oblivious, who kind of could just take you away from it. You don't, I mean, we never looked at you and thought like, oh, shame Dad's lost his leg. It was kind of just like, oh yes, we get to go visit Dad, or like we're gonna do something cool with Dad, you know. So I think, I don't know if that was helpful, but kind of having been so little, it's kind of the only thing I can put forward. I think that I remember specifically was almost never really being fazed by the fact that you'd had an amputation, whether it was upsetting you or not. I suppose we were kind of always indifferent to it, not in a negative sense, but...
Okay, so life, it was our reality.
Yeah,
it's just the way it was. It wasn't
just
anything
goes
unusual,
on.
it's just...
We don't tiptoe into the room and sort of treat you like a victim. It was like you were still Dad. We'd still ask you sort of things we used to ask you, and I mean, Mom would be there to put us in our place if we were
Still.
Well, if you think like your world's gonna fall apart, you're not gonna be able to do things that like other dads do with their kids. It's not the case at all. Like there's still so many activities that you can do together. Like for example, we go surfing together while you kneeboard. We even cycle, motorbike riding. Yeah, there's just like so many opportunities. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of hear what you say is focus on what can be done.
Yeah, and not what you've lost.
Okay, and do things together. to find commonality in what we can do. I think it's something that helped us a lot too. What's the one thing you notice that I might not even be aware of, that you think a partner of an amputee should be aware of, relationship-wise?
Frustration and patience.
Both sides?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, from both sides. The frustration on the part of the amputee daily. One can never create the perfect environment, regardless of what you do with regards to disabled grab rails, layout of the house, handrails up and down staircase, positioning of furniture. There will always be new frustrations because our lives are designed around being able-bodied, and it is a particular field really to try and make everything perfect for a disabled environment, and things come up regularly which are frustrating. And then the patience, I think, on both our sides for one another, because the speed with which things happen is just a different speed. One needs to get used to the fact that putting your leg on takes time. Even picking up crutches don't stand up by themselves, they fall over regularly. So there are small disability related issues which can become really frustrating. Am I repeating myself? Ek is klaar vir iets anders. Cut.
Finishing time for Christmas.
Okay. The one thing that we can control is the prosthetics that we use, and to get the best possible prosthetics that we can. So about 6 months ago, I got something quite amazing happened. I got a new socket, and I got as you can see, the Arcerio XC, because it's splash proof for the lifestyle that I have, and my mobility's increased a lot. How have you guys experienced that? What has changed for you? So my suggestion is people get the best prosthetic, and how would you respond to that in the change that we've experienced over the last 6 months?
You mean since you got this new leg?
Yeah.
Well, you've just personally been very visibly stoked off the new leg. I mean, from the before you even got it, you were super excited about it. You were sort of researching what it could do, showing us what you could do once you had it, and then, I mean, as soon as you had it, you were up on the bike, walking up and down the stairs, doing little jogs across the living room. So I mean, the excitement levels were high and continue to be high, sort of with all the new sort of activities that can be performed.
Yeah, just generally it opened up a lot more doors. Like, before you could cycle, but like this one, I mean, it has its own mode for cycling. Even like starting to learn a jog, like Anine said, and yeah, just many things.
Also, I don't know if it's just because I'm not in the house as often, but you've complained about the like injuries to your stump a lot less. I don't know if that's just part of me not being here, but it seems like you've had a lot less problems.
So this is true. I had numerous operations due to infections, due to ill-fitting sockets and misaligned prosthetics. But the ability to walk better, just increased mobility has caused. I haven't had infection for 6 months as a result of a good setup, of which this the prosthetic knee and the socket both, and the foot has made an enormous difference. So the right kit. And from your perspective?
With your new leg, the speed with which you can walk is fantastic, really fantastic. We used to go from really just getting from A to B with your previous legs, and this one is allowing Chris to be included in hiking and walking at a really crazy pace, which is brilliant, because now we can go further and we can walk at the same pace rather than what would have been considered just a stroll before is now a really nice walk or a hike, depending on where you go. So
and all the different terrains. We can do steep, uneven, so it has made a huge difference.
Yes.
Okay guys, I think that's if you have any questions, please post them in the comments. We'll come back, we'd love to answer those. Maybe from my side, I think the thing that got me, and still does, through there are days where it's frustrating and annoying to be in the situation, but mostly those are long gone. And I think the two things that have helped me most is, I think the only way through this is with love and connectedness, honest communication, and the willingness to be understanding of of each other's needs and frustrations, because there are frustrations on both sides. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you soon with some more. Ciao.